the Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast.
Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Monday, the 21st of December, 2020. No shortage of news, gang, and I just wanted to do a quick video basically talking about silver and crypto, but I want to cover a few headlines first here. The U.S. government apparently yesterday has announced some sort of $900 billion stimulus bill right before they break for Christmas. And looking at the bill, there's a lot of pork in it. It never changes, gang. It never changes. Pennies for the masses and lots of pork for their friends. You know, that's banks, captains of industry, airlines get a big one out of this one. But at any rate, just to let you know, I did take a quick look at the bill, but it's huge. You have to almost do a search through it because it's like 5,000 pages long. I don't know what else to say about the bill. But at any rate, it looks like everyone is going to get $600. So if you're married, you and your wife will get $1,200. So that's the way it works. Okay. Next story. Scientists and MPs ask, where's the evidence of the 70% more contagious mutant COVID? Okay, for my friends in the United States, MP, we think of that as military police. That's the commonly used phrase for the letters MP. But this is in Britain, so this is actually members of parliament. That's what that stands for. Because they're locking down so hard in London, a lot of people are trying to get out of London right now, so they don't have to participate in the new lockdown. This is spreading across Europe, and I would like to say, without getting into too much detail, I'm asking for the evidence of the COVID vaccine or the COVID virus, because all we got was a mapped genome on paper, and no one is asking that question anymore. The isolate for COVID. I'm not going to say anything more about it at this time, but at any rate, it's a good question, and it's never been answered. But then again, a lot of questions about 9/11 were never answered. A lot of questions about what happened in 2008 were never answered. Okay, and by the way, if you go to Zero Hedge, you'll find the full text, 5,593 pages of the stimulus bill. Okay. And like I said, there's foreign buyers slide in otherwise strong 20-year Treasury auction. I usually pay attention to these auctions that go on, but right now I'm not even watching it anymore. It just doesn't interest me. Because I'm thinking the bond market is incredibly manipulated with, money that has been, currency that has been printed since 2008, because the bond market is not moving like it used to. Let's see, EU approves Pfizer vaccine, US warns no hard evidence, UK mutation more infectious, live updates. Now we have, okay, once again, the science, epidemiology, virology. How do we actually isolate the genome of a virus? I'm sorry, okay, I'm going to talk about it just a little bit, in the hopes that YouTube doesn't find me to be, a little too cheeky. Let's just say it that way. When you have a virus and you think you've isolated it and you can map the genome, what you do is you send samples of that virus to your peers. In this case, the CDC, would send it to the World Health Organization. They would send it to the National Institutes of Health. They would send it to, for instance, if there's research facilities in China, they would send it to them so that they can all get the same virus, prove that it's the virus that they were looking at originally, and they can all individually map the genome to the virus so that everyone can have a consensus. Number one, this is the virus we're looking for. Isolation. Isolate. Number two, if it is, we are taking apart the protein structure that makes up the cell membrane, and let's see if we all come up with the same results. So let's make sure we all agree 2 + 2 = 4. And then once they have confirmation between several different labs on the same information from the same sample of virus, then basically we can go forward with the idea of a vaccination. This didn't happen. I don't know if it was Operation Warp Speed or if it's because something else nefarious is going on, but the way we do this in science has been dramatically altered for this particular virus. So, but at the same time, we shut down the world economy, we force people to isolate, we want them to wear masks, which makes them much more susceptible to getting the virus and other respiratory ailments because they're forming a lot of basically, let's just say their masks are getting wet, just from standard exhaling. And so bacteria begins to form on the mask, making, a situation where they can actually give themselves a respiratory ailment that could lead to something more serious, such as pneumonia, bronchitis. It definitely will agitate asthma. So, okay, then we got that out of the way. I'm just throwing out questions, gang. I'm throwing out questions. There's no conspiracy theory here. So when you do a mask and you do social distancing, what you're doing is psychologically teaching people not to trust one another. And it seems to me, I remember, in some books I was reading, back a long time ago, about some guy that rose to power, in a European country. I don't remember the country anymore. Had a mustache, a funny little mustache. And he set up schools for young people to train them to literally not trust people and to report on other people's activities to the government. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're doing it a slightly different way so that we're not compared with the funny little man with the mustache, but we're doing basically the same thing. Some people like to call this socialism. This has tenets of communism all over it. So always remember that. We're already socialist here, gang. We're just not hardcore socialist, but we're socialist in the United States. And we're starting to assume tenets of totalitarianism that are very similar with communism. All because of the virus that we didn't send samples all around the world to confirm results to make a vaccine. All right, just throwing it out there. No conspiracies here. This is all pretty normal stuff, really. It's the new normal. Let's get used to it. Stocks are not working the way they should anymore, and we've talked about this ad nauseum. Let's look at stocks. In fact, let's not take a big look at stocks because actually it's not even worth our time. This is all rigged, gang. This whole thing here is rigged. So none of it's actually real. We don't know and what I say by that, I know I say it all the time. This is all an illusion. This is all an illusion. What do you mean, TC? What are you talking about? These are stocks. These are the prices of stocks. It's a real value. You could buy or sell based on these values. I get that. The problem is we don't know the real value of the stocks. That's why it's an illusion. When you print lots of currency and you start shoving it into the stock market, and then you try to get PE ratios, like Apple. PE ratio, 38.6. Before 2008, a PE ratio of about 12, let's say 13, because people argue this with me all the time. No, TC, it's 14. 14 was a good PE ratio. Let's say 13, because I thought of it as 12. And what that means is you could justify the price of the stock with 13 years of their current earnings. So that's how you justified the price of the stock. And before then, it was about dividends. Within, 13 years, you would literally make the money back from buying that stock in dividends within 13 years. PE ratios are now 38, 39. I remember when Netflix was 400 years of holding on to that stock to justify the price you paid for it. So the PE ratios just don't make sense anymore. But I'm being told by a lot of people that I, actually respect, PE ratios no longer matter. So basically, let's look at it this way. Companies are making less money than they did 20 years ago. Their PE ratios are much higher than they were 20 years ago. Corporations don't have to report earnings. Well, at least first quarter, and I think it was first and third quarter, they didn't have to report their earnings, their balance sheets. That's actually an SEC rule, Security and Exchange Commission's rule. Now, this is the new normal. Nothing to see here. There's no conspiracy. So we could just say a stock is worth whatever we want to say it's worth. Guys, I did a story on this, I think I did, about Tesla stock. Now, for me to pull up the data on this would be difficult, and I'm trying to get a quick video done. Michael Burry. If any of you have seen the movie called The Big Short, there's a guy by the name of Michael Burry that movie's kind of based on, and he's a real person. Actually dug into Tesla stock and found that it was 18 times overvalued. 18 times. Guys, I kid you not. This is not an exaggeration. It's not me being hyperbolic. This was an actual story, and Michael Burry put it on Twitter. So he was actually able to dig into the real numbers, not the fake numbers. Once again, this is all fake. And you know what's fake that goes along with it is balance sheets from these companies, their financial statements. They're also fake. Remember Enron being fake? Well, we have Enron times 1,000 in American corporations now. They're all faking their numbers to make their stock look good. Because once again, this is where the money goes when the currency goes when it's printed. Because we have to keep the illusion alive that the American economy is just humming along. It's just doing great, gang. Everything, is going great. Nothing to see here. Right before the collapse. Now, so I finished with the Tesla thing. You guys know Tesla's 18 times overvalued, and that was like 2 months ago that story came out. God only knows what it is now, because frankly, I'm not following Tesla stock. I don't follow any stock, really. So these numbers are fake. The bond market, I used to think of that as somewhat real, because the amount of currency it takes to move the bond market is really big. This is a much larger market, gang, the bonds. By a factor of maybe 50 times more money in it than the stock markets of the world. So, I mean, it takes more currency to make a shift in this. But once again, we had a yield curve, and it healed. And once again, that was through manipulation. But at any rate, I'm still watching this, for a yield curve inversion. And right now, this is being manipulated so hard, I don't think we're going to get an inversion. Now, does that mean that it magically means everything's okay? Everything's going to be fine? The stock market's not going to crash? Well, I'm going to introduce you to one more concept. That's the crack-up boom. And the crack-up boom means hyperinflation, basically, in your indices. So while the economy falls apart around you, and people don't have jobs anymore, but the prices of everything keep going up, and keep going up rapidly. That's what we commonly refer to as a hyperinflation. But the crack-up boom insists something more is wrong. For instance, people losing their jobs, businesses closing, because they literally can't operate in the new environment of hyperinflation. The business model didn't account for that. And by the way, that's very common. That's why you see a lot of places closing up, around any town USA. But at the same time, we're being convinced by politicians, by the banks, by the stock markets, by the price of homes, by the price of cars, that everything's actually swimmingly well. As the people of London are fleeing to get out of London to avoid another lockdown, the American people are literally just paralyzed because they don't understand. This data doesn't make sense. And I'm not just talking about the virus. I'm talking about financial markets too. Let's go to gold and silver here real quick. We look at a 1-year chart of silver, and we see that a year ago it was $17.82. Now it's $26.16. It's gone up nearly $10 in a year. Let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin this time last year was 7,266. Now Bitcoin is 22,826. We're seeing evidence of inflation, and it's in Bitcoin. It's even in silver. It's in gold too. Let's look at a 1-year chart of gold real quick. A year ago, gold $1,500. Now it's $1,877. So, once again, evidence that the prices are going up. So it doesn't, and we could go to supermarkets, we can go to cars, we can go to homes, but these are easily shown examples with charts online. So we know we're inflationary, and it's much larger than 2%. Once again, we're talking about, let's see, 1,500 to 1,800 on gold. So the inflation on gold is, I'd say roughly in the last year has been 20%, 20, not 2. We go to silver. We go from 1782 or almost $18 to $26. We're talking nearly 40%. 40% inflation. Not the 2% that the Federal Reserve keeps trying to shove down your throats as the real inflation rate. Guys, it's just not real. It's nominal confusion is what it is. Because a $20 bill is a $20 bill is a $20 bill. But what you're not thinking about is purchasing power, or thinking in terms of assets for assets. Guys, we had a marvelous discussion in the Discord chat yesterday. It actually was an astounding day in the chat. And man, I wish you all could have been there for it. I wish I'd recorded it, actually. Because we did an exercise with Chaos Craig and Network Effect, also known as the Four Satoshis, about how much value we've either gained or lost in our personal homes, just the purchase price of our personal homes in gold since we purchased them. And all of us have lost value in our homes versus gold. Now, this doesn't mean you need to sell your house and buy gold, but it is a realistic showing of basically what's keeping up with inflation versus what is not. What is actually below the rate of inflation. And so we're talking longer time periods than 1 year that I'm showing you right here, right now, because we all purchased our homes long before a year ago. But it is a very valid way to actually figure out how much value you've lost in an asset versus gold for a particular time period. Take, for instance, gold in 2007. And I'm not going to do the numbers here for you guys. Actually, this is silver. So let me do gold. I'm not going to do the numbers for you because this is kind of personal. This is personal stuff. And those of us in the chat, we've known each other for a long time. But you look at gold in 2007. That's when I bought my house, the one that I'm living in right now. And look at the price of gold back then, $654. Well, it's actually gone up 3 times in value, up to $1,877 value. So has my house gone up 3 times since the purchase of my house? The answer is no, it hasn't. But once again, we're looking at assets to assets. We're eliminating basically the dollar side of it, the dollar value of the home versus the dollar value in gold. So what we actually did was a conversion for ounces of gold for the purchase price of the house. Now, I just showed you in a dollar terms, but that's not the exercise we performed in the Discord chat yesterday. So here's what I really want to say based on this information, and I'm going to close out the video here real quick with a couple of things. The number one is it looks like my original assertion is correct. Precious metals and cryptocurrencies are where to go. It looks that way at this time. Now, this is dangerous, and I'm not giving financial advice, but Bitcoin is more speculative, way more speculative. However, it's definitely been paying out better than gold. It's been doing better than gold. I can't go back to 2007 because Bitcoin didn't exist in 2007. But I can tell you since 2013, Bitcoin has gone up some 4 million %. Now, gold and silver have not done that, but once again, we're talking about a speculative asset. I don't consider silver and gold a speculative asset because their main goal, actually the purpose of silver and gold is monetary metals, is to literally account for currency printing. So it holds its value. And it's a wonderful gift. It shows you how badly all the assets are losing against currency printing. And this is a mental exercise I'd like you all to try. Figure out how much gold was worth when you bought your home. And then you can convert how much you paid for your home at that time in ounces of gold. And then look at the value of your home now versus the price of gold, convert it into ounces of gold, and see how many ounces of gold you've either lost or gained based on the purchase of your house. Guys, you could do this for a car, but the car is going to teach you something. If you do this same exercise with buying a new car, you will never buy a new car again. Never. You would actually buy a used car and you'd throw the rest of it into gold. You know, we all have to have a car. That is, if we want a car, if we need a car. But okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to rattle on about this, but I think you guys are getting the point. Please comment down below. Let me know. Basically, I'll do the conversions tonight when I get home from work, and I will do the conversions so I can give you a percentage of loss that I have in gold versus my home. I can give you the percentages. That's not personal. But look at this. Basically, guys, if you're not into gold and silver yet, or in crypto as a speculative bet, you're going to miss out on a massive wealth transfer. And this is huge. I mean, this is going to be a life-changing event for those who are into precious metals. And once again, not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you guys what I do, and I'm giving you my thought processes on why I do it. So I just want to remind you, gold and silver are insurance. They are not technically an investment. There's no such thing as an investment with something that's designed to only hold its value against inflation. An investment and would be Bitcoin. However, that's what we refer to as a speculative investment because it's not really proven. Well, virtually all investments are speculative, really, but Bitcoin even more so because it's so new. But I'm telling you, guys, I started doing videos for you guys about nearly 2 years ago about Bitcoin, and that was in beginning of 2019. Bitcoin was $3,000, maybe $4,000 when I was putting out videos about Bitcoin. And look where it's at now. I understand that silver's gone up too. Bitcoin's gone up by a lot more. And we need to remove emotion from this because we need to survive, what's coming. And I'm not saying get into Ripple, gang. I'm not saying get into the banker coins because speculatively they could do better. I'm saying you can definitely have morals in your investment. You can apply your scruples to how you invest your money. And this is literally one way that you can do it. Bitcoin is a valid investment, speculative investment. Silver and gold are valid insurance for holding on to your wealth, gang. So, okay. And the one last thing, for those of you who hung on to the very end, in fact, if you wouldn't mind putting in Golden Llama somewhere in your comment, if you comment on this, I want to say that it looks like we're getting the Second Amendment Preservation Act getting up and going again. I've had a couple of conversations with a couple of people, and we're probably going to start on this in January. Pretty hard and heavy, but I wanted to let you guys know that is rolling out again. I have some reservations about this because if they shut down the government again, they will shut down all of my work, all of my effort, all of my investment of my time to get this done in the state of Missouri. I don't want to talk very openly about my reservations about them shutting down government because I don't know. I just don't know. They did it to us this year in 2020. They shut down the government. We couldn't complete it. We came close, but we couldn't get it done. They shut down government. Well, a lot of governments shut down. So, but at any rate, just wanted you guys to know basically my thoughts on where things are going. I want to talk more about the virus and the beer flu and the serum. The serum is actually worth talking about right now. Very, very, very interesting information on the serum. We're getting a lot of data from it, and it looks like it's not the type of serum that you want to take. That's what it seems like anyway. Okay, wrap it up with that. And if I don't put out a video before Christmas, which is Friday, 4 days from now. I just want to hope, pray that all of you have a wonderful Christmas, and that you really, truly, if you can, spend time with your families and remember what the whole season is about. It was about Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ wasn't about, materialism. He was the exact opposite. So let's remember what the season's about. Let's remember what Jesus was about in his entire ministry on earth. Forgiveness. 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 We have to forgive those who wrong us, and we hope that those we have wronged will forgive us. Please, gang, remember the reason for the season. That's all I have for you right now. You guys all have a wonderful day. May God bless each and every one of you and your families, and I wish you all and pray for all of you to have safe travels for those of you who are going to visit. Take care, gang.